Hey, quick recaps here. Today, I'll review Soldier Boy, a film based on the true story of World War II's youngest soldier. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The film opens in Russia, where a family of 3 is relaxing by a river. Sergei Aleshkov, the youngest, is bragging to his elder brother and mother about being on top of a tree when German fighter planes fly overhead. The mother orders her children to hurriedly hide in the bushes, but the 6-year-old insists on striking the aircraft with a catapult. To everyone's amazement, he hits the jets and blows them apart, but as he looks around, he notices that his family has vanished. Sergei awakens terrified from his dream and screams out to his mother. Someone suddenly knocks on his door. He hurries towards it thinking it's his mother, but a neighbor lady bursts in panic. She thanks God for his survival and informs him that his mother and sibling have died. The small kid is unable to understand what she is saying and wishes to remain in the home to await his mother. The lady informs him that Germans have assaulted them and that he should flee. Suddenly, some troops approach their home. The lady forces Sergei to flee out the window, but she is killed before she can join him. The 6-year-old boy is now on his own, without relatives or friends. When Sergei flees the home, he notices his entire neighborhood burning behind him. He runs away from there, calling for his mother in vain. He ends up in the midst of the woods after running for a time. Since he is lost, the small boy begins to call for his mother to come and retrieve him. He spends the night in the forest. The next morning, we observe him drinking water from a river as enemy forces approach. Sergei hastily hides within the roots of a tree, knowing they are deadly. As a snake approaches, he is scared but does not utter a word or flee. Sergei is terrified by the troops rather than the snake. The troops eat beside the river and then leave, leaving Sergei to eat their leftovers for the night. The small child, on the other hand, is fatigued by the end of the day. He hasn't eaten anything in 2 days and has been roaming aimlessly. He stumbles as he limps but does not stop walking. While on his trip, he comes upon some wild berries and devours them. Nevertheless, an explosion strikes behind him, taking him off guard. The child becomes disoriented and begins to see someone approaching from behind him. Despite this, he stands tall and tells the individual that he has a gun and is not afraid. He limps forward but soon falls unconscious. 2 soldiers approach him while he is asleep. The scene shifts to a Russian army barracks, where Commander Kuznetsov awaits the arrival of his patrol men. They arrive with a small damaged and feeble child. As the troops profess to be on his side, the youngster opens up and reveals himself. As the youngster shakes hands with the commander and suggests he identify himself, the troops chuckle. The warriors are loving towards the child and circle him. They force him to drink water and eat. Even the stern commander takes care of the child. Sergei's wounds are dressed by a nurse named Katya, who is also taken with his personality. The child requests that she draw a tank over his wounds because as he grows up, he wants to be a soldier. Even the wounded warriors converse with the child and feel better. Sergei is enthralled by the commander's rifle and his batch. After getting the bullets out, the commander also answers all of the small boy's questions and lets him play with his honorary weapon. Sergei displays the tank he drew on his tummy and brags about becoming a soldier himself. The youngster is recovering fast. The nurse Katya requests that the kid stays with the battalion, but the commander refuses, stating that it will be unsafe. He prefers to transfer Sergei to an orphanage. Sergei occupied all of the troops' leisure time. Throughout the day, he is visited by a large number of people. They send him meals provided from their family far away and even let him use their binoculars. One day, a soldier approaches the commander and requests that the youngster remains with the battalion. The soldiers have formed an attachment to the child and see him as a member of their own. His presence lifts the burden of battle from their shoulders. The commandant, on the other hand, is determined about transferring the youngster to the orphanage for his own protection. The next day, the enemy assault, injuring numerous troops. A car arrives to pick up Sergei and transport him to the orphanage. The commander informs the child and presents him with a wooden honorary gun as a gift. In exchange, the youngster hugs him, indicating that he is concerned about the commander's safety. The commander melts in his hug and reconsiders his decision. He requests that Sergei remain with the soldiers as his son. That night, the soldiers hunt for miniature army uniforms for the little child, and they are overjoyed to have Sergei remain with them. The commander wakes Sergei up and hands him the clothing. He wears them and sprints about like a genuine soldier. Others begin to refer to him as their little soldier child. While the child is running about, the Germans commence an air attack on the unit. The troops swiftly carry Sergei to a secure location and battle the others. The number of soldiers injured is continuously increasing. Sergei wants to help, so he provides water to parched troops. Because he has a bandage over his eyes, one of them requests that he read a letter from his family. The youngster wishes to assist but is unable to read. He grabs the letter and begins making up the contents, stating that the soldier's cow is safe at home. As the soldier confesses he doesn't have a cow, the others encourage him to believe the narrative and laugh. He reads everyone else's messages and cheers them up in the same way. Katya and the commander are seen conversing in the following scenario. The two appear to be drawn to one another but refuse to express their sentiments. Later, Sergei informs the commander that he is an orderly in the army and begins addressing himself as one. The youngster then witnesses one of the soldiers' stations being destroyed as a result of the attack. The commander teaches him to remove his hat in order to pay respect to the fallen soldier. The next day, he insists on a mission from the commander, and he is assigned the responsibility of distributing the letters among the men. He completes his assignment quickly and even has the troops dance for him. The next day, Sergei ventures away from the base with his binoculars. As he notices someone's leg moving from inside a haystack while he is playing with it, he hurries back to the regiment and informs the troops of his discovery. The soldiers are doubtful, but they accompany the youngster nevertheless. When they get close to the haystack, they are informed that 2 German agents are hidden behind it. The spies are apprehended, and the youngster is congratulated for his wits. That night, the commander presents Sergei the formal documents for his adoption. He is now officially the child's father. Sergei is aware of the commander's affections for Katya, so he invites him to confess to her. Yet, when they observe her chatting to another man, they incorrectly presume she is interested in someone else. The Germans launch another attack on the base. This time, Sergei assists the soldiers with all his strength by delivering ammo to the soldiers on the front lines. But the soldiers there order him to return to the shed since it is too hazardous outdoors. As he arrives in the shed, he discovers the commander and others panic because the phone connection with the colonel has been severed. A soldier is dispatched to repair the damaged cables. Sergei pursues the soldier and discovers that he has been mortally wounded. He approaches the dead soldier and asks how he can patch the cables himself. The link is restored, and additional troops are dispatched. Everyone's lives are saved by the 6-year-old. We later witness the commander and Katya conversing by the river. Finally, the commander confesses his feelings for her and begs her to be Sergei's mother. Katya is overjoyed, but before she can say anything, a soldier approaches them and hands the commander a letter stating that they have been ordered to leave the post. The next day, all of the soldiers, including Sergei, leave for their new base. Nevertheless, they come upon a minefield on their route, which blows off some of their cars. The commander is injured, and Sergei's close friend, the group's orderly, is killed in the explosion. He sobs and embraces the commander. They continue their trek to their new headquarters while carrying the injured. When they get to the opposite base, they meet the commander's leader, the general. He, too, is pleased by the kid's drive and compliments the commander on having such a bright child. The next day, their division receives a guard's flag, as does the youngster. As the general hands him his badge, he swears to save his country. Their base is savagely assaulted one night, and the commander is trapped beneath the debris. Sergei weeps for his father and attempts to save him. He summons the other soldiers, who eventually bring forth the leader. The following day, Sergei visits an injured commander, his hands having been harmed while attempting to save the commander. The boy is now an indispensable member of the team. He has no relatives beside them and follows them wherever they travel during the conflict. The film concludes with the unit transferring to a new base. A voice in the background tells us that he even fought in the Stalingrad War and made it to Poland with the army. He is now renowned as the world's youngest soldier, and the epic narrative of his bravery has been shared with the whole globe. Subscribe for more videos like this one, enable alerts, and leave a like to support the channel. Thank you for taking the time to watch.